You're listening to The Watchers, a show where two women from opposite ends of New Jersey discuss TV shows that my therapist referred to as really good when I brought it up this morning. And then she brought up Jamie Lee Curtis and was like, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. You're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, our show kind of could be called, like, complicated mother-daughter dynamics. Yeah, also there's misogyny, footnote, complicated mother-daughter dynamics.
Yeah. Yeah, or, never mind. I was going to say something about dead dads, but that's not fun.
I laughed like it was.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a bumper sticker a couple of weeks ago that said, "Don't honk at me, my dad is dead." And I was like,
that's so funny.
This is my sense of humor.
That's so good.
Yeah, it was so perfect. I need to get that for my new car.
I would like to remind our listeners that I also have a dead dad. I'm not just laughing at your dead dad.
No,
I'm
can you imagine?
Our dead dads. So
yeah, can you imagine?
Oh man.
I'm Jodie.
I'm Andrea, and our dads are dead.
Both have dead dads.
Awful. I really hope we've got some new listeners today who are looking for
this is their first time with us.
I think it's a pretty representative.
Yeah, honestly. We are here to sort of set the table, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
For the return of The Bear for their final season.
That's right. Which is out either today or tomorrow, depending on how quickly I make this edit happen. But we are almost there either way.
Yes. And obviously, if you have been here before, you know I don't always sound like this. I've been sick all week. I'm getting better. But duty calls. Down for no one.
That's right. That's right. Every second counts.
Every second counts, baby. So...
yeah, I think, I was looking back at our previous Bear coverage. And as I told you...
We've grown so much.
We really have. Our first episode where we were catching people up, it was 2 seasons, but it did take us 2.5 hours.
That's insane.
I can't believe we did that.
I can't either.
Assuming if you're listening to this, you have watched the previous 4 seasons of The Bear, or... you're going to jump in on season 5 and just kind of want to get an idea of what the show is. We are not going to be careful about spoilers at all, but we're also not going to do anything super in depth in terms of recap.
Definitely not.
I think first of all, if Jodie's voice gives out, nobody wants to just listen to me talk about The Bear by myself, but
it'll be me whispering in the corner.
Exactly.
It'll be our first ASMR podcast.
So I think we'll do kind of like a high level where we started, where we are, some general vibe stuff. We still have some, I guess, like lingering questions. As per usual, The Bear is doing that thing where we're hearing next to nothing about the new season. Yeah. They are going to drop almost a year, as always, almost exactly a year. They've been really punctual with that. And so there's not a whole lot to say about season 5. I do know one thing that I don't know that I would call it a spoiler, but I can imagine not wanting to know it yet. So we're going to do all of our catching up, all of our checking in, and then we will let folks know that we're going to talk a little bit about what we know about season 5. So if you don't want to know anything, you could head out, and then we will see you next week for the first 3 episodes of the final season.
Yep.
Does that sound right to you?
Sounds great.
Okay. Okay, so episode 1, season 1 opens with...
Don't even. I know. I could go... Wait, hold on. Go back to my notes from the first episode.
The first thing when I was listening back to our previous coverage that kept coming up every season was the fact that, and that I had kind of forgotten about, this show was originally envisioned as a feature-length movie. And then there was all that talk about the extra season getting added or taken away or whatever. And so it's like God.
And that was when we thought there were only going to be 4 seasons.
Exactly.
The conversation was that season 3 had been split into 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm,
so
that's right.
That's interesting.
And so thinking about this as, however many acts that ends up being. Season 1. Our opening act, our exposition, we learn our setting, we meet our main characters, all of that.
Yeah.
You know what's so...
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm still just kind of talking structure and vibes at the moment, but every time I say I can't wait for season 5 of The Bear, if it's somebody who hasn't watched the show, they say I couldn't get into it, it was too stressful.
Mm.
And I think season 1, I can totally see that. It kind of dropped out of nowhere, blew up really fast. The thing that everybody was talking about at first was how intense and stressful this first season is.
It really did feel like extremely different in tone from season 2. I think what you started to do when you were breaking down the 5 seasons into like a 3-act movie structure makes us a ton of sense, because season 1, like you said, introduces us to everyone. It's got this really fast-paced, like if you think about sitting down in a movie theater and watching this as a movie, obviously we lose all of the fun extra stuff. I think we mentioned this at maybe our last recap of season 4, where we were talking about the complaints about quote unquote filler episodes, right? And how if it was just a movie, we would not have any of those external or exterior characters, or none of them would have their own plot lines, episodes, focus,
right, there'd be no forks.
Exactly.
There'd be no worms,
we wouldn't
probably.
Right. We wouldn't go home with Tina and watch her cook for her husband.
Oh my God, you know what else?
What?
We probably wouldn't go to Copenhagen with Marcus.
No, we would definitely not go to Copenhagen with Marcus.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Yeah. So all that to say, if this was a movie, season 1 would be the sort of fast-paced opening act. You know, season 2 season 2 mainly would be like the sort of character development, some significant moves forward for certain characters. Seasons 3 and 4, I feel like, would be a little bit of like a retrenchment of the trauma and like a, back and forth as to how they're like,
and
one step forward, 2 steps back, right?
Yes. Well, because I think too with season 2 is when you get season 1, we think the conflict is how do we keep this restaurant open, and family trauma. Always.
Well,
it's family trauma in a restaurant.
I felt also like a lot of the focus of season 1 was, can Sydney integrate into this environment? Should she?
Right.
And then can Carmi and Richie coexist?
Right.
Can they keep the restaurant open? But like all of those things I think are a little bit neatly resolved in the final episode with the tomato cans.
Exactly. And then you get the real tension that starts in 2. I think is how that feels to me. Yeah,
absolutely. And so then season 2, we end up going into, we bring in Claire, which your mileage may vary.
We came around on her in season 4, you and I.
Yeah, well, because of the way that I don't think I said this on mic yet, but I ended up rewatching all of season 4 while I was sick. And I was reminded of how sweet Claire was to Sydney when Sydney's dad had a heart attack.
That's right.
And if we had seen more of Claire not with Carmi, I think we would have liked her more from the beginning. She really was an accessory to him for a while, and it was like his manic pixie dream.
I was just going to say, and that's his fault. That's not Claire's fault. And now I feel bad. Now I feel bad for judging Claire.
He made us feel bad
based on what this, big man with big, not big 4, man, but this man with big sad eyes thought of her. That's not fair.
Well, and in season 4, we have her in the hospital with Sydney, comforting her. We also have her with Evie under the table at the wedding. And like, we get a better version of Claire later on. We get some flashbacks in season 2. I mean, season 2 is still like banger after banger after banger. Like, it contains Honeydew, which of course is the Marcus in Copenhagen. It contains Fishes, which is the Thanksgiving episode. It contains Forks, which is
back
Richie.
To back. Fishes and Forks.
Fishes and Forks back to back.
What a season.
Yep. And then it ends with them opening the restaurant on Friends and Family Night.
No Gavones
Carmi
at Friends and Family.
And Carmi getting trapped in the fridge. So at that point, you know that they knew, I think, that they had another season coming, because that is a much bigger cliffhanger to end on than finding a bunch of money.
That's right.
So, and I think that for me, I don't want to get too sidetracked right away, but I feel like season 2's ending for me was a little bit too focused on the Carmi and Claire of it all.
Totally agree.
Which is not something I cared that much about.
And it's not something I cared that much about either. And it's also not like, well, what it, like, it's not, it didn't feel like what the show cared about until it did, which is, I mean, you know what I mean? The show didn't set us up thinking we were watching a show where the central issue was going to be Carmi and a lady. This was family trauma.
By the way, I keep saying fishes is Thanksgiving, but it's actually not. It's a feast of the 7 fishes. It's like around Christmas. Everyone's around a table. I'm like, anyway. But yeah, I think that looking back at these seasons, I feel like the creators want us to have be able to hold a lot of things at the same time, right? One is the financial challenge of running a restaurant today. This is something that they really have talked a lot about, wanting to kind of spotlight, especially after COVID, how hard it is to keep a restaurant open, even if it's amazing, right? And so that's the Uncle Jimmy, the computer, the Albert in the last season. I know. But so that's one piece of it. Then there's the like Carmi and his family trauma and his mom and Sugar and all of that. And Carmi's inability to like really let anyone in, including his own family.
Right.
So that's point 2. Point 3 is our other characters, which I hate even referring to them that way because to me, Sydney is like as important as Carmi. But Sydney's journey from being in debt from her failed original restaurant that she'd put together. I think during COVID, it was like a delivery thing. I can't quite remember.
I think that's right.
And then the development of Marcus as a pastry chef and
Tina,
Richie and Tina, and all of the people that kind of fill out our cast and how they've all developed.
And found their place or are working to find their place in this new structure and
And I think if you think about the last 2 pieces of that, like on parallel tracks, Carmi is also trying to find his professional place. And as season 4 ended, he was starting to think maybe it wasn't in restaurants, period, right? And so he has given an opportunity to all these people to discover where they belong in the restaurant business, right? Yeah. And then he's sort of running next to them, being like, wait, maybe I should be making a left turn up here and going somewhere else.
Yeah, and I am always surprised to be reminded that Carmi wanted to make pants. He's not in the restaurant business because it was his passion. And so maybe it's time for him to go
make pants. I had forgotten how towards the end of the season, because it's funny what we hold on to after we watch a whole season of television, and it's been almost a year since then. Like, I had held on to that last conversation where Sydney's really like hurt and angry, and Carmi is like, this doesn't make me happy anymore. And I had forgotten all the stuff leading up to that with him and Sugar talking about this and her being like, look, if this doesn't light you up, like, you know, you're okay you should do what makes you really feel like yourself and happy and whole and all of that. I also had completely forgotten about the conversation between Richie and Carmi in the finale of season 4 about Michael's funeral and about how Carmi had showed up and then not been able to like really go in and the whole like the way that Michael was the thing that had stood in between them this whole time in a weird way. Like he brought them together, but he also created all these misconceptions between Carmi and Richie about the other person. Yeah. Like, you know, Carmi feeling like Richie, each of them assuming the other person had different motives, a different life experience. Like Richie imagining Carmi's life being like a drive down Lakeshore Drive that never ends, you know? So I think that like, I'm just thinking about all these parallel tracks and how they're going to intersect in the last season because obviously nothing can tie up every single thing in a neat bow and we wouldn't want that anyway. But I'm interested to see like how much time and attention is given to each of those three pieces, right? How much time do we spend talking about how much the orders cost and what we can afford and what's working and what's broken and like the infrastructure piece.
Yeah. Well, and especially with Uncle Jimmy with that countdown clock, like.
Right. That was hovering over all of last season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then like, because to me, that is actually understanding the peril that the restaurant industry is in fully, or not fully, I'm not in it, but understanding it and understanding that like part of what they're trying to do is highlight that. That to me is the least interesting piece of the whole show and always has been. Because every restaurant struggles to survive.
Right.
Why do we care about this one? It's because of the people.
Exactly.
The characters that have been created. And so like, and to be honest with you, like, do I care more about the Carmi track or the rest of them? I've already said I care more about what everyone else ends up doing than what Carmi ends up doing. I think because we've already spent so much time in the nitty-gritty of his trauma. Like, and yeah.
And we have talked about every season just the way this show kind of handles grief in a way that feels, for the most part, really honest. And we've spent so much time with Carmi and his grief because it isn't one manic pixie dream girl and you remember that you know, you're like constantly revisiting it, right? Like, and encountering it. And
the past is present.
Exactly. And so season 5 can't end with Carmi's better, but it also can't end with him doing the same old thing. There's got to be some growth. And so all I really need is a little forward momentum from him, and I feel good. And right now, like, it feels to everybody else on the show like he's running away, other than Sugar. But I think just kind of getting that clear with Carmen and with everybody what his actual motivation is would be enough for me. And I don't think we need to do too much else with that.
Because I think that for most of season 4, the Carmi stuff was actually about that like slow forward halting improvement, right? Like he spent some time talking to Claire in a way that's more open and more honest and vulnerable. He makes his mother dinner after she makes her amends to him. Like he goes into like his childhood bedroom. Like he goes to the Frank Lloyd Wright house. He's taking all these steps to figure out what his next direction should be and what makes him happy. And like they're almost sometimes so small in their scale, I guess, that it's only when you look back that you notice that he is consistently making these little steps.
Right.
So I don't think I need some huge, like you were saying, I don't need some huge direction change or revelation from Carmi. I think if he is going to walk away, you know, we have kind of had the building blocks to lead us there. They've just been, it's interesting. I think about like when Sid's dad went into the hospital, because I just rewatched season 4, so that's in my brain, but he offers to go to the hospital with her.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't start by saying, here's the keys to the van, go now. He says, let me take you, I'm going to go. And she's like, no, you have to like run the restaurant. And he's like, are you sure? And he keeps offering to like literally physically be there for her. And I think, you know, all of those little moments, the dinner with Donna is obviously a bigger one, but like he talks to Lee, Uncle Lee, whatever the fuck Lee is, at the wedding in a way that's not super hostile. Like, there's just all these signs that he is sort of, and he's been going to Al-Anon. I forgot it started in season 1. He goes to his first Al-Anon meeting.
Al-Anon, and also every season, I am re-surprised that Joel McHale has been around since season 1. Like, the two. But yeah.
So I don't know. I think that like, I don't have a ton of faith given what Gary focused on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was just a like, those two guys wanted to do something together. They had an idea for it and they went and did it. Because what I really want for this season is for Carmi to continue this sort of slow improvement and like leave with the hope that he'll find something that works for him.
Right.
But let the rest of the crew that we have fallen in love with really like solidify and have a not just be accessories to him.
Yes. And I don't want it to feel like he is abandoning a bunch of people who don't feel like they're ready to stand on their own. And so I want to see them all, because I know they can, because I love them and I've seen how much they've grown. But I don't know that any of them quite feel like they're...
Well, and bringing in the team from Ever last season, I feel like that was a little bit of like an Avengers Assemble moment, like the three of them coming in, because watching Jess sort of like take control of the kitchen for the first time, it really makes you feel like with the three of them and then with Sydney's skills as a chef and with like the best version of Richie, right? The evolved version of Richie, they can make it work.
Totally.
Part of the reason I think I realized I didn't like watching Gary was because I like Richie now. I didn't like Richie in the beginning at all. I found his screaming really annoying. And I love him now.
I just think maybe there is no one in my life more important to me than Richie. Maybe. And I have loved him since season 1. I think I am always a little more forgiving of these like curmudgeonly old men with big sad eyes you're a better person for it that you don't you aren't as strict, but his growth has been so just like hopeful and enriching and paralleled against Carmen's like kind of like we said slow growth, just seeing two different ways that these people are handling this. I think if anything, Carmen is in the way at this point. Last season, so much of it, and he does come around by the end to on a couple of things, but all of his non-negotiables and stuff are what was fucking the restaurant.
Absolutely. The chaos menu. Yeah.
That's right.
Because like they have such a like there's people I keep forgetting about even like, and I just rewatched it. If you think about the team that they have now, which is like, so without Carmi, we've got Sid, we've got Tina, we've got Ibrahim, we've got
Sweeps. Luca.
Sweeps. Like, and I don't know if Luca last season was a stage. They weren't paying him. So I don't know how that works. But they have Sugar in the back, like managing all of the everything else that's happening. They have Marcus, who won a Food and Wine, like, best new chef at the end of last season.
Chef.
Best new dickhead.
Best new dickhead. Who wants to melt some provolone on a fucking baby?
Oh my God, I love it.
What a show.
I will say, when I rewatched the last season, there were so many moments like that where I was like, oh yeah, that's where the provolone on a baby came from. But also, there's one that almost made me cry. It's probably going to make you cry. But speaking of Richie, when they're at the wedding and he's talking to Uncle Jimmy, and he talks about how in the Zen garden, he's the sand.
He's the sand.
Oh, no. Yeah. Andrea cries very easily, but I knew that one would get her. But, like, I, for a while now, have felt like Richie is actually ahead of Carmi in his, progress. You know why? Because he has a child he's worried about. And I'm not saying that kids fix everything, because they sometimes do the opposite. But he does have to be a good dad. And he is a good dad.
And he is a good dad. And I guess this whole thing, we could just spend an hour talking about what a good man Richie is. Because even, like, starting in season 1, Richie has a lot of things, but he is not a bad dad. Like, he and Tiff get along. He is there for Evie. Richie's problem has never been that he's too closed off or has trouble emoting. I mean, he has different ways of showing it, and he's learned some more. Carmi's problem is that he can't, because we joked about it with with the facts that
they were so good at expressing their emotions.
Exactly, and they're the happiest of anybody here, and so
absolutely
that's something that Carmen is working on, and that's something that Richie hasn't really had to work on, and so maybe having that availability is what has also helped him grow so quickly.
Yeah. I do think that the one thing that's been holding Richie back still is this, like, guilt over Mikey and like
Yes.
so the fact that season 4 ends with this sort of like almost bottle episode where they're outside just talking the whole time, and you have the confrontation between Richie and Carmi, like it's super intense. But what comes out of that is Richie finds out, not like the important thing is theoretically that Carmi actually did go to the funeral, but the important thing is actually that like Carmi never blamed Richie for anything. Carmi was jealous of Richie. Richie was jealous of Carmi. Like both of them were seeing things that weren't actually there in the other person. And like a lot of that stuff came out in that conversation. And I think that if Richie can get free of the guilt that he feels about Mikey, and like clearly his own family is fucked up because he basically adopted himself into one of the most fucked up families you can find and was like, this is better. So I just think that hopefully the end of last season does unlock something for Richie. That plus like his experiences getting better and better at his job and the staff from Ever clearly really respecting him. Like all of that hopefully is going to build to him being able to not just like survive as the emotional center of the restaurant, but like take on a more leadership role.
And yeah, I think so. And even like, yeah, it's funny thinking about where all this is leading because there's really nothing other than that which seems to have cracked open in his way, because even his relationship with Frank now, like at the wedding, was really kind of healed. He's so good with him when he says that thing about, Evie comes back to me, all she wants to talk about is you. And
Claire is like, is that true? He's like, no.
No.
Yeah.
But that's huge. Richie season 1, no way.
No. He's the sand.
He's the
sand.
You're just saying it because you...
I know, but I know. But I also really love it because I feel like he has completely flipped the way he looks at himself and his position. Like a lot of what he struggled with earlier in the earlier seasons was the fact that he didn't have a place. Everyone else had a place. And a lot of it had to do with his divorce and him feeling like replaced by Frank. And like he doesn't have the important role he used to have. And a lot of that was simply healed by time. But also the conversation with Frank at the wedding where Frank was like, you're always going to be her dad. Like, like that he, as Frank, was just like, I just want to have some of like a little bit of the connection you have with her. It's like a reminder that no one's going to replace him.
Exactly.
So so because we started talking about Richie in this way, I think maybe it's useful for us to think about where each person is going into this season, at least our main folks, because I had kind of forgotten that we had just, like, Sydney had just turned down Shapiro, like, when season 4 ended.
Goofball.
She'd spent all of season 4 basically trying to decide whether she should stay with the chaos that she was in or go somewhere that doesn't feel like home but could be healthier in some ways. And like, I forgot about how like she shows up to see the new restaurant and Shapiro's blasting rap. Like all of the like well-meaning white guy stuff he does, like the good hair. Have you seen Good Hair?
Jesus Christ.
And so of course we're led to feel like she should not do that. She should stay at the Bear. But when we leave her at the end of season 4, the beginning of the last episode, she is so angry at him and so hurt that he would leave her in this position.
Well, and he didn't even ask her. He had that contract redrawn. That just seems like a conversation you should have.
Yeah. Well, this whole show could be, you should have had a conversation.
That's a really good point.
And this would all be avoided. Like, but I do think that by the end of that episode, she has watched Carmi and Richie argue and have this conversation, and then she has watched Sugar come out and kind of show more support for Carmi's decision than anyone else has. And she has insisted that Richie be written into the contract so that it's her, Richie, and Nat. And so I do think that where she starts out in the beginning of that episode is very different than where she ends up. But of course that hurt is still there. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much is lingering of that, or like where they frame her headspace going into this last season. I mean, Marcus just got his Food and Wine award.
I mean, so
the other thing we didn't see that we left Marcus with was he had been avoiding seeing his father. His father had like invited him to breakfast. He like didn't go. He went and then didn't go inside. But then at the end of the season, he texted the Food and Wine announcement to his dad. So
the show is
and
also...
Tina broke the 3-minute mark on her pasta dish.
That's right. I knew she was gonna.
Yeah. As soon as she took the pressure off.
It. That's right. That's right. Another thing we have to remember with Marcus is that there is trouble in paradise between him and his best friend Chester, because Chester's jealous of his friendship with Luca.
Well, Chester thinks Luca's hot.
He didn't know he was going to be so sexy. I think it's what he says. Is that what he says?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But back to...
Well, I'm just thinking about the other folks in the kitchen that we want to be checking in with. Like, Sweeps seems to be like past most of his struggles with like recommending wine pairings. He met up with a sommelier that Sid recommended, and they had that great like back and forth.
This, doing this, kind of lining everybody up like this, it is kind of amazing that the show is just about grief and growth. Like... And who grows and how and what gets in the way and what happens when you get out of your own way, and who feels comfortable asking for help and who needs to learn how to ask for help, and all the way down to even Sweeps, who of all of our characters has maybe gotten has gotten the least attention, other than like
Ibrahim.
Right. Well, but Ibrahim at least has his little he had his like culinary school moment.
Sure, yeah.
And
I just felt like they were kind of on a similar plane in terms of like they have restaurant related side storylines, but not personal ones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, because I guess Ibrahim and then the rest of the Window Gang, they're like their own little moment here, and it has felt to me like we're leading to they're going to help, subsidize
they're the answer, right?
Yes.
Like it became clear last season, especially when Computer and Albert finally, like meeting of the minds, like, Mega Maid or whatever, like they came together and had their conversation about how this could work if they have more locations, right? And so I do think that the huge success of the Window, like if that is expanded on, it does allow some financial comfort that they haven't had.
And there's a really beautiful narrative resolution of that tension between, are we the beef or are we the bear? Like the stuff with like, Richie in a different spot now, but like, is there room for this sort of old school thing here? The idea that going, especially talking about grief, the idea that like returning to your something from your past to turn it into something positive here in your present, but in a way that like helps everything move forward. Just feels really narratively satisfying to me.
There's also something lovely about that in terms of, like, we talked about how Carmy has created a place that people like Marcus and Tina and Sweeps can find this sort of like part of themselves they didn't know they had. But in the last couple of seasons, Ibrahim has kind of, until season 4, it's been sort of the opposite. Like Carmy was trying to create that for Ibrahim, and he was always like, he tried, but he quit culinary school because he was like, this is not me. I want to do the stuff I'm good at.
Right.
And so in season 4, he is allowed to do the stuff he's good at. And he then finds out that it's not just working the window, but it's taking a business course, reaching out to Albert, like talking about how they can take what they're already doing and make it even more efficient and profitable, and like brainstorming all these ways to save money. And like he does find his way, and it's not because like this nice white man gave him a chance. It's because he found his own direction within where he already was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really sort of a beautiful circle if the thing that ends up saving the bear is the beef, and is not just the beef, but is Ibrahim's contributions.
That's right.
To the development of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is, you know, if you look at the, like, everyone rose to this level of chefdom except for Ibrahim in that initial group. But Ibrahim ends up saving the whole thing because he has this other side to himself. That's right. I just think that's perfect.
Yeah. And I would be more than happy if that's where the show ends up.
Yeah.
Those are
Do you
all
think
our
we'll get Francie back? No, that's I want to get Francie back because, you know.
Well, she can go fuck. So
she
can't go fuck anymore, actually.
I know. They're good now.
Yeah.
So, but I think it would be fun to see Francie popping in as like a support for Nat, because I will say the one thing Nat desperately needs is a girlfriend.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Like, and I mean like a friend that's a girl.
Yes.
I don't mean a girlfriend, although that would be fine too. But
especially with your complicated past.
Francie can fuck. But I feel like she's shouldered so much of this so quietly in the back room of that place with all the phone calls she's dealing with and all of that, like, and the baby and Pete and the boys and the fax and all the yelling and the kid and all of that. Like, she could really use a girlfriend to go get
especially
drinks with.
One who really gets this because yes.
Yeah. And, you know, I was reminded about how lovely the episode was where Sid goes to get her hair braided, and we spend most of it with her and the 11-year-old daughter of her friend. Mm-hmm. And we remember that we think of Sid as more evolved than Carmi, and in some ways she is, but in some ways she's also running. And that running is not just taking her away from her dad, which we run into with the heart attack episode, but from her friends and her people.
Yeah,
you know, she hasn't seen this friend in forever. So,
which is so typical of the restaurant business, right?
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, because I feel like we've wrapped up a couple people with season 4 where, like, I want to see more of Tiff, but I feel like Tiff and Frank and Evie, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're good. They're going to be fine.
They're good. They're doing their thing. I mean, I wouldn't say we've wrapped on Donna, but she's definitely in a better place than she was.
And there's, in the same way that Carmi's not going to suddenly, you know, have one dinner with his mom and one conversation with Sid where he uses his words and then be better. But for Donna too.
But I don't think we're going over that road a bunch more times.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to talk the little bit that we know about season 5 and do our speculating and whatnot.
Yeah.
So listeners, there's like one kind of fact about season 5 that has been made known. But if you don't want to know anything, I would say now's the time to head out and just come see us next week. WatchersPodNJ at Gmail. You guys know the drill. WatchersPodNJ on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. You can call us, leave us a voicemail at a number that I'm going to share with you in just a second. And I can't wait to tell you what that number is. And you should maybe get a pen or open your phone and just right now give us a call at 856-336-8986. Jodie's at Jodie_Mim. I'm at AQ Andrea Q. Mm-hmm. And so like I said, if you don't want to know what little bit we know about season 5,
I would take off now. And
now's
come
the
back
time.
Next week.
Okay. All right, everybody.
Okay.
It's just us
We're going
now.
into it. Yeah. It's not even that big of a spoiler, but I do think that it does. What it does is it, I think, eliminates some possibilities for where the season is going. So I think it makes sense to kind of separate it out.
Yeah, I think so too. Because even we'll tell you in a second, but even some of the stuff you and I were just talking about, as I was thinking about it, I was like, there's no way for us to even know because. So, first thing is season 5 is 8 episodes. Season 1 was 8 episodes, 2, 3, and
Yes.
4 were each 10. So I don't love that it's less, but I feel like something. Okay, so hold on. I want to say I interrupted the thing to say a different thing. Season 5 is taking a page out of
The pit.
Pittsburgh, Medical Trauma
Yeah.
Center, and it is a day in the life of the bear.
One day.
One day. And I want to talk to you about that, but the thing that I was just trying to say before I got lost in my own brain is another thing that we have often remarked on with this show is it is not afraid to be what it needs to be in any given moment and to take the time it needs to tell whatever story. Like, the episodes vary wildly in length. They'll just do whatever. So the fact that it's only 8 episodes tells me that they're not forcing anything for it. And that makes me feel a little, I'm encouraged to, like, buy that, even though I'll be sad to only have 8 episodes.
Right. I was going to say, one of my questions about the fact that it's 8 episodes on one day is, what day is it? Because when we left off, we were pre-service, I believe. So, and the clock had just reached 0. Jimmy's clock.
That's right. Something else we know, though, are episode titles.
Yes. The most notable thing to me about the episode titles is that, and this goes along with what I had noticed the most in the trailer for this season, which is there are a lot of shots of the fine dining staff wearing the original Beef of Chicagoland t-shirts.
Right.
And so that goes along with what we were saying about the idea of the two things coming together, the beef like window situation being the way that they end up getting sort of quote unquote saved. But yeah, the episode titles are all foods until the last one, which is also food, but it's the original Beef of Chicagoland.
Right. Which, you know, feels a little bit to me like it's pointing where we've been expecting it to go for quite some time.
Well, I think that, like, we don't know anything about the way that the machinations are going to come together, but we do know that, like, these two things have been running on parallel tracks this whole time. And financially, the only way one survives is with the other one being the engine. And so that's clearly something that is going to be a part of this. I'm interested to see how they take 8 episodes and divide up a day over that amount of time, because the thing that The Bear has been so good at to me is these interstitial episodes that are not quite bottle episodes, but are like a Sydney episode or a Marcus episode. And does this leave room for that? Maybe. Maybe it leaves more room for that if we only have one day, right? But how much of it is going to be the financial issues? Like we said in the beginning, how much is going to be the financial issue driving the bus, and how much is going to be individual character development driving the bus?
Yeah, there's something interesting too about, because if all we have is one day, there's no way to know if this plan of Ibra's is going to be successful. I mean, we assume that it will, but if all we have are 8 hours or whatever, however long in this one day. But, you know, thinking about what you just said about their little kind of like side quest episodes, there is a version where it's like flash forward episodes, maybe like
it's possible
in between, that show us, because what I started to talk about earlier today and realized I couldn't is we have that hanging chad of Richie getting hit by a car, but he's in the trailer, and it feels like this episode is taking place very close to the season 4 finale.
Close. Yeah, because basically in the preview, we see Jimmy being like, I'm closing the restaurant. And that is like what he said he was going to do when they ran out of time and money.
Right. And so where does that scene with Richie factor into all of this, unless we're going to see
something into the future? Yeah.
Right.
Because we've had flashback episodes where we've looked at the past. Like, I think that now that we're talking about it this way, I do think that part of the strength of this show has been those individual episodes. And it would be shocking to me if we only
Great
stayed in the
point.
kitchen.
Like
if we only stayed in the kitchen for 8 episodes, that would be weird. That would be like season 1, though. So maybe that's...
I'm of 12 minds right now. Because number one,
me too.
it would be going back to season 1. But, so there's that. And it's also a little bit of a fuck you that I kind of like for the people who have complained about not liking the bottle episodes from the show creators. Like if I wouldn't be I could understand why you might feel motivated to do that. But also that little mini Richie scene and knowing how much is still open, especially stuff like there are little things that you and I have been tracking that now I don't care as much, but I am just kind of curious. Like there's been little moments that have made me think they want us to be thinking about Carmen's dad, especially with all the other dad stuff. And now I don't know that we're ever going to know anything about him. And I also, like I said, I'm not super concerned, but I was curious.
Right.
Mostly I was curious to see who they would cast to be his dad.
Springsteen.
So, exactly. There are I found back-to-back 2 Reddit comments about this structure, about this taking place over the course of a day. And I just want to share these with you. I just think about making a TV show today. Ugh. This has a real chance of feeling extremely slow, with barely any plot progression each episode. Followed directly by, can't help but feel it would be rushed. Hope they don't leave any major storylines open for interpretation. And it's just like, you can't fucking win. But
you can't win.
No. But it is like pacing, I guess, really is going to be.
Yeah, that is the big question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm looking back at the episodes of season 1 and like there's a flashback to Carmi working with Joel McHale, whose name I will never remember in this show.
His name is Joel McHale in everything that he's in, except for when he's Chef Winger, but otherwise.
Right. There's the birthday party that Carmi and Richie go to and drug all the kids.
Oh, man.
But other than that, it is all at the restaurant and, a couple of Al-Anon meetings. So, yeah, I don't think that like predictions are a little bit useless because we're going to know very shortly. But I do think that the interesting question for me now after this conversation is this going to be more like season 1 where it's restaurant focused and the character development happens through what's happening at the restaurant? Or is there going to be more like seasons 2, 3, and 4, individual episodes where each character or some character gets a chance to like have a more developed storyline aside from the restaurant? That's my big question, I think.
And I really can see the merit for both. There is something so beautiful just putting those two things together of, is the thing that saves the restaurant going back to the beef and letting it help and kind of integrate. It's a trauma thing. You've got to integrate your past trauma into your and then for the show to then structurally do the same thing.
The show has to do some EMDR. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And the show's got to go back to its beginning to let it have the end.
Yeah.
Like there's something really balanced and satisfying about that.
There is. But I also love the episodes that focus on an individual character, I think, more than the restaurant ones. So we'll see.
I mean, who knows?
This podcast, also known as We'll See.
We'll see.
I think I'm excited. I wasn't like, after Widow's Bay, I was like, man.
Why watch any show ever?
Well, and now I've got to go back to like the mom trauma show, like the most triggering television show we've watched in forever. But after rewatching all of season 4, I was reminded how much I love hanging out with Sydney and Marcus and Ibrahim and Sweeps and the whole gang and the facts and, all the little giggly moments of, put some provolone on that baby. And it's just, there's a lot of good in there amidst the sort of stuff I have to talk to my therapist about later on.
Strife. So I was starting to say this at the beginning, which is, if you don't know the show, if you don't watch the show, what you know about it is that it's really stressful. It's a lot of people yelling at each other and a lot of people fighting. It is also so funny and so warm in places. And it is, I find it really comforting to be with these people. I think because of that, because they all manage to be big-hearted and really love each other clearly and care about each other, and that's kind of underneath all of it.
And that, like, I think I texted you when I was watching the scene where they're all under the table at the wedding. And it's like, it's the kind of thing where in a show like Widow's Bay or a funnier show, I know that The Bear's a comedy, haha, whatever. But like the gag is a little bit how many people, like that table does not look big enough to fit 20 people under it. But by the end, there's 20 people in that table. And like, there's a lot of sort of metaphor there about like the ever expanding family that they're creating together.
Yeah. And making room. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. That's beautiful.
So, thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much. What a show.
I'm going to be sad to say goodbye to everybody, but there's just something so, I don't know, lovely about something wrapping up, especially because I know I'm told this is such a left-hand turn. You and I both watched Ponies and liked it enough. I thought it was entertaining. Yeah. I was looking forward to season 2. Just got canceled.
I'm so I'm annoyed because I thought it was fine. I love Vic Michaelis. I was happy to see them on my screen. But I'm annoyed because they really took a risk ending on a real, actual cliffhanger.
Yes, that's right.
And now we're never going to know. Exactly. And that's why when I saw that finale of the first season of Ponies, I was like, uh-oh.
Yep.
They don't come back. This was not a satisfying end to this first season.
That's exactly right. And
it was not.
So there is something, the type of mental unwellnesses that I have are really soothed by a final finale that actually gets to end. So I am, I always, in a weird way, look forward to a series finale. And I'm looking forward to this one.
I will also say, again, side note, as I've been sick the past like almost week at this point, I got a brand new car, not a brand new car. I got a brand new to me car and have driven it like 5 seconds this whole time because I've been homesick. But what I've been doing with my time is rewatching Schitt's Creek. Guess what? That show is still amazing. It's
Can
still
I tell you
great.
Something?
It's still, I know you've never seen it and it kills me. It's like, it's so, there's this scene that is so much funnier to me now where David is just like, I'm organizing my knits. And I'm like, that's me. It's, if you need like a comfort show to just put on and binge and just kind of know that everyone's going to be okay and it's very queer and very fun and very silly, like the first episode, you're like, I hate all these people. By like 3 or 4, you're like, this is my family. I love them forever. Plus it's Catherine O'Hara, like R.I.P. I just highly recommend, even if you like, because I watched the whole thing, I think during COVID. And so part of me like doesn't want to go back to my like COVID shows.
That's how I feel about Parks and Rec.
Yeah, but it's been so nice to hang out with them for a while. It's so nice. And nothing terrible ever happens. It's just life. It's just the only terrible thing is like the good thing that starts the whole show, which is them losing all their money. So, and if you can get over Chris Elliott being in it, which took a minute for me.
But if you remember that we wouldn't have Abby Elliott if not for Chris Elliott, then I think that helps recuperate.
And Chris Elliott gets mildly less irritating as the show goes on. So if you're trying to find something to do while you wait for the bear to come back, which by the time this comes out, you really won't have to wait, but definitely recommend rewatching Schitt's Creek or watching it for the first time if you haven't seen it. Shout out to Catherine O'Hara, one of the best to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think I have any recommendations right now, but I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Keep us posted. I think the only thing to do now is to bang yourself in the head,
get in the car, and go to New Jersey.